This is Fam. I'm back with another video. Now, this video is going to be about the question of should I re-roll? I see this question come up a lot of times from people who are first playing this game. They say, is my team good enough? Should I re-roll and try for different heroes? Now, in doing my research for this game, I found a video on YouTube, which I will link in the description. It's from a user called F2P BTW Gameplay. So free to play, by the way, gameplay. And I don't know this guy. He's not paying me to say this, but from what I can tell, he looks like a hardcore gamer who started playing this game 4 months ago on the SEA server, and he got his characters up to like level 50. So I feel like he was pretty knowledgeable about the game, and you should definitely follow his channel or at least look at his playlists if you want to learn more about this game, because he has a lot of really good information, the best that I've found on the internet so far. So I consider this guy to know what he's talking about. And in this video, which is a 20-minute video, he goes over his tier rankings for all the heroes in the early, mid, and late game. And what I have in front of you here is the image of his tier ranking of the characters in the early game. Now, I assume early game to me is the first 30 levels, because I got to level 34 within a week. So within a week, you should be able to get out of the early game if you're playing this game like a hardcore gamer. And by the way, this is his tier ranking for the mid tier, or the mid game, which I would consider about levels 30 to 60. But I'm going to focus on the early game here, since that's what people are looking at when they decide whether they want to re-roll or not. So from what I've seen, and I did actually re-roll one time in this game, so I've played through this twice, is within your first 10 pulls, you will get an SSR hero. It's guaranteed. But that first pull is not going to be from the full list of all the SSR heroes. Instead, your first pull is going to be either Valkyrie, Gabriel, or Michael. And if you look at this tier list, Valkyrie is triple S, so she's one of the best. Gabriel is in the A tier, and Michael is in the B tier. So Gabriel and Michael are kind of bottom tier characters that you don't necessarily want. Now, let's say you're playing your first 15 minutes, you get your first pull, and it's Gabriel or Michael. Should you re-roll? At that point, I say no, because you want to keep playing. And what happened to me both times I played is within 20 pulls after that first pull, I got another SSR hero. And you should be able to get to that point within less than an hour. And just like as reference, like I've been playing Langrisser for a year and a half now, so I really like that game. And it's very similar to this one. And if I were able to go back in time and talk to my year and a half earlier self and say, hey, you're going to be playing this game for a long time, you should make the first part of this game easy on yourself by getting some of the best characters. Would you want to spend a couple hours to make sure that you're off to a good start with some characters that make it like easy mode on you? Or do you want to choose characters that are not so good so that you have a tough time and you may end up quitting the game in the beginning? Like, that's the decision that you're forced to make here. But hopefully this tier list helps you, because once you get your first pull out of the way, you can look at what your second hero is going to be. And if you look, like in the SSS tier, you have characters like Lilith, Dracula, Valkyrie, and then Venus is an SR hero, so everybody's going to get her eventually. In the SS tier, you have Lucifer, who everybody's actually going to get, assuming you complete the quest, because they give you a free Lucifer within the first week if you complete all the quest options, and it's not that hard to do, so you should definitely unlock the free Lucifer character, because she's already top tier. And then there's Artemis, who we don't have, Merlin, who's one of the best, Joan, who we don't have yet, and then there's Marco Polo, Alice, and Cupid. Those round out the SS tier. Okay, and if you look at the S tier of characters, there's only two SSR heroes in that tier. There's Abe no Seimei, and there's Isabella. The other characters in the S tier are all SR rarity. So my recommendation to you is if you can get one of the characters in either the SSS, SS, or S tier, so one of the top SSR heroes within your first two pulls, you should consider keeping the game. By the way, one drawback to trying to re-roll is you will lose the name that you registered. So for example, After I re-rolled, I got Valkyrie on my first pull, and then I got Michael. So I was really sad that I got Michael, who I consider bottom tier, as my second hero. And then I tried to re-roll, but then I saw that the name Ego was registered already. So then I would have to be something else, like Ego GF. And I didn't want to lose that Ego name. So I actually kept playing, even though I had my Michael pull. And my next pull was Lilith, who's top tier. So, and then I got Dracula after that. So I ended up with a pretty good team, despite having a stumble at the beginning with Michael. So, whenever the question of should I re-roll comes up, there's always going to be someone in the peanut gallery who says, just play the damn game. Like, you're going to get everyone eventually. So, don't waste your time trying to constantly re-roll when you could just be enjoying playing the game. And there is a certain element of truth to that, because if you play the game long enough, you will eventually get everyone. But I am a firm believer in, whenever possible, engage easy mode and make life easier on yourself. So my recommendation is try to get one of the top tier characters when you can, especially if the time investment is only going to be like an hour to get another shot at it. But remember that you do lose the possibility of having that name. So if you're really attached to a certain name, you may not be able to re-roll. Okay, and one last thing that I'll say to wrap up this video is, let's say that you're Alanis Morissette and it rains on your wedding day and you get your team and it's like Michael and Cleopatra or Michael and Hades. You have a bunch of bottom tier SSR heroes, right? Like, well, all is not lost. If you look at it, any RPG, when you're forming your team, you're gonna want a couple of things. You're gonna want a tank, a healer, and a DPS. In this game, I actually recommend having two DPS, like a primary DPS, a secondary DPS, your tank, your healer, and then a flex spot. So that's your fifth character. And if you look at it, you can actually form a team without needing any of the SSR heroes. You're going to get a free Lilith, assuming you complete the quest, and she's your top tier DPS. So even if you're completely unlucky, just do the work and you will get a top tier DPS in Lilith. And then the best healer, according to this tier chart, is actually Venus, who's an SR hero. So you can get her eventually. It's just pull long enough and you will get your copy of Venus. So she's going to be a lot easier to get because she's not SSR hero. And everybody also gets Marco Polo, who is SS tier. So she's a really good tank, and she's given to you for free just by playing the game. So assuming you do the quests right, you will have your top tier DPS, tank, and healer without pulling any SSR heroes. And at that point, all you need is secondary DPS. So depending on your team comp, you can use someone like Hattori Hanzo, who is in the S tier, or you can use Jester, who's in the A tier, but as you get towards mid-game, he actually gets better. So either of those are perfectly fine secondary DPS options. And then for your final hero, you can use SR characters like Pandora, Medusa. Apollo is actually really good as a support. Shakespeare, those are all SR options. There's Cupid up there in the SS tier. So you can round out your party with SR heroes and it's fine. They will totally carry you through the early and mid game. So don't be afraid to use SR heroes to round out your team. And you can, field a fully functional team, even though you have really bad luck and have a lot of bottom tier SSR heroes. No problem. You can still get by through the game. Just be smart and use the right SR heroes to fill the voids in your team, okay? Good luck. Let me know how you're doing with this.